I'm Luke Melky, helping you master the art of filmmaking. Today we're talking about the first point. I think goes with all videos, whether that's a film or a marketing video. You need to grab the attention of the audience right away. On short films, it's slightly different. You need to get it right away, start with the action. But on feature films, you can have it drawn out a little bit longer, getting their action. It can be just a cool, dramatic shot. It doesn't have to start off with action so much right away because your audience isn't distracted by all the other clutter that might be on YouTube. If it's a short film, they're probably watching on something like a YouTube. There's distractions everywhere. On feature films, they're coming to a theater, they're sitting down at their TV, they're expecting it to be a developing story. They expect it to be longer. So they don't expect it to jump right into the action. They expect something to develop and grow and the characters in the story to just develop. But even with the audience expecting the story to grow and develop, you still need to grab their attention somehow. Whether that's the cool dramatic shot or if it actually is action, there needs to still be something that grabs them, that makes them want to watch it. You can't just go, well, we'll get to something cool by minute 5. If they're gone by that point, you're not going to win them back unless something absolutely incredible happens. But chances of that is very seldom. You might even have people walking out of the theater if you don't get their attention by the first 5 minutes. Now, some of the things that can intrigue an audience can be something besides action. Like I said, it can be something like a cool dramatic shot. It can be maybe a twitch or a character trait that you see right away. There can just be the mystery of someone walking in the shadows. You don't know what it is. That's going to grab someone's attention because they're going to be intrigued. They're going to want to know what that is. You can pull through suspense, action, or just
the awesomeness of your cinematography.
But you need something that grabs the attention of your audience. Building your characters. This is a big point in a lot of films that I think a lot of beginning filmmakers don't really quite understand. If they want to have a good story, they need to have good characters. You might have these basic outlines, these good story ideas, but if you haven't developed a character, it's going to be kind of hard to follow. You need to develop a character that can fit and work with the story you've given. A lot of times I work with kind of a back and forth between creating my outline and having the characters discovery writing form, where the characters are the ones that tell me what happened. The action leads up to the next action. The characters lead up to the next point. And they kind of discover it at the same time I am as what's going to happen. I have my basic outline where I'm going, but the characters and their character traits and how they work with each other really help build the story. Now, something that's really important when building a character is character arc. They shouldn't be the same person at the beginning as they are at the end. If they are, it's going to be a rather boring film, unless it's someone like a James Bond. Really, the story in a James Bond isn't so much the character and how much they've developed and grow. That's just, you want to see some really cool action. That's why you watch James Bond. The stories themselves really aren't that amazing. It's just the cool, what can James Bond do, or what new toy can he pull out of his car, out of his sleeve, or what amazing thing can he do. But outside of something like that, you really need a character that grows and develops. They need to be better at the end than they are at the beginning. You need to develop a character arc. But how can they have a character arc? What is it that creates that arc? Well, without trials, without situations where they are forced to change, there's not going to be anything that makes a difference. They're just going to stay the same because why change? So there has to be trials to help your character grow. And that's really what it works through. They have to come with decisions where they have to make, do I go this way or do I go that way? Do I lean this way? Do I lean that way? What is it that's going to force them to have to make a decision that's outside of the comfort zone? And that's how your characters are going to grow, and that's how they develop your character arc. You also need to develop wants and needs for your characters. There's a difference between your wants and needs. A needs are, you need food to survive. A want is, they want pizza. You don't have to have pizza to survive, but that's really what they want. So don't focus so much on the needs as much as on what do the characters want. That's what's going to push them. That's what's going to make them develop. That's going to make them grow. They want something. What are they going to have to do to get that thing that they want? So let's take an example of, we have an athlete who wants to be the amazing athlete, but also wants to hang out with this girl. He can't do both at the same time. So you have to create conflict between the wants. What is he going to go for? Is he going to go for the girl, or is he going to go for being the star athlete? Because he can't spend 8 hours in the gym and spend all of his free time with the girl, because if you're spending 8 hours in the gym, you have no free time. So he has to make that choice, and which want is going to win out. So you really need to create conflict of wants. You also need to create a conflict of wants between the primary character and other characters. How are those going to be colliding? Say, going back to the girlfriend, Sports Illustration, the guy really wants to be the sports star. That's what he really wants. The girl really wants to hang out with him. So their wants are different. He doesn't care so much for her. She really likes him. How are those wants and conflicts going to develop each of those characters, and how is it going to develop your story? Now, this is something as well that I think a lot of beginning writers don't really quite understand, is every line needs to be pushing or driving forward the character's wants and desires. It's not just dialogue. It's what is the character trying to get out of that conversation? What are they trying to get out of that interaction? So if I am trying to have a conversation with someone, in a way, I am manipulating that person to give me a certain kind of response. I'm expecting a certain kind of response. So to get that response, I have to ask a certain type of question or give them a certain type of response to one of their questions. And a conversation is continual back and forth of really kind of manipulating each other. So you need to work that into your characters. If a character wants this, another character wants that, how are they carrying the conversation, their interaction with each other to reach their wants? So you really need to develop in each line, how is the character wanting something? You really need to focus on this as well when directing a film, is what are the wants and desires for those characters in each line, and how is that going to be pushing the film forward? Yet another thing you need with your character development is emotional appeal. You need to make them feel real, some way that we can connect with that character, the way that they're feeling, whether it's we've experienced that feeling ourselves or we've watch someone else have that same experience, or some way that we can connect with it. We need to have an emotional connection with this character and the problems and struggles that they're going through. Because if we can't relate to it, we're not going to understand the film, and it's going to feel very distant. We're not going to feel connected to the film if we don't feel connected to the characters. Now, we need to also develop flaws into our characters. A character that is totally perfect is usually a very boring character. Some of these flaws can even be things that might be perceived as a good thing. Someone might be a really hard worker. That's typically considered a good thing. But if that person works so hard that they completely abandon their family, now that good character trait has gone too far, and now it's causing a problem. Another one of the potential good flaws would be someone who's overly energetic. Someone has just a lot of energy all the time. They look like they've been on a monster drinks continually since they've been born. Having energy can be a good thing, but if you put that character with someone who's not a morning person, and you put them together in the same situation, one is energetic, one is not. The energetic one is going to be seen as having a flaw by the one who's still half asleep, and the person who's half asleep is going to be seen as a character flaw to the person who's overly energetic. And how do you make those characters work together? What conflict does that create? Another point we're going to touch on real briefly here is the antagonist. You need to make sure you develop a good antagonist. Now, the antagonist isn't always a person in like short films. Sometimes it's just an idea. Even in feature films, that's sometimes just an idea, but typically that is an actual person. So you want to develop a good, strong antagonist, something that the primary character or the protagonist is battling against. What or who is it that they're fighting against? You also need to make sure when you develop these antagonists that you give them character. They need to have more than just this person's evil because they're evil and they're just always evil because they're evil. Well, that doesn't really develop a good character. It's not believable. It doesn't feel real. And the protagonist, it's not going to make sense. They're battling this person who has zero logic or any purpose behind what they're doing. They're just evil. Most people who do the wrong thing or do evil things think that they're actually doing the right thing. They don't view themselves as evil. They think they're actually doing something good many of the times in some weird, twisted, warped way. So how can you develop that perspective in your character that they think they're doing something good, or they don't view themselves as evil so much as they have a purpose or reason behind what they're doing that is for either they think the greater good or maybe just the good for themselves, but they don't view it so much as just pure evil. they a lot of times will view it as some way it is a good thing. So when a character does something evil, it needs to make sense with their character. What is their mindset? Why are they doing this evil thing? You need to really understand that as the writer, because you can't just say, well, I want this person to be evil and we need something for the protagonist to fight against, so we make this bad thing up and that's the way it is. Well, it needs to make sense with the character for the antagonist. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please comment, like, share, subscribe. Buy yourself a koala bear and rub its little belly. That's just awkward. I probably shouldn't do that one. Oh well.